So, Emma, what's happening today?
Today is a special guest episode with fellow podcaster Mamalogue.
This episode is called Pregnancy Pals. Welcome to this special episode of Don't Wake the Baby. Come and unwind with us and have a break from all the stresses of parenting and chat about what we're up to in our lives. Join us in this imaginary scenario out in the park, sat under a big oak tree, let your toddler run off and play, have some laughs and have a good old chit-chat.
Good old chit-chat.
As usual, you're joining with me, Elliot, the one who's not pregnant.
And me, Emma, the one who definitely is pregnant.
Yeah. I'm also the one who doesn't have many other parenting friends. I make all my friends pretty much online, I think.
That's true.
Whereas you like a good chit-chat with other mums.
I do. I'm not going to... I'm so sociable. I have quite a few friends.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I'm Mrs. Sociable, though. But
True.
Yeah.
And today we're joined with another mum who runs a parenting podcast as well. And we've got to know her because we run similar parenting podcasts. I bumped into her online, actually, on social media. And we enjoy listening to each other's podcasts.
We do. I'm always very impressed because she just does it by herself.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could just talk to imaginary people. I know they're real people you're talking to, but not in person.
Are they imaginary out there?
Yeah.
I never knew.
Do you know what I mean?
Hi, imaginary
if you
people.
were sat talking by yourself, I'd be like, oh.
It was very different, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Good
Katie from Cardiff in Wales who runs the podcast Mamalogue. And we've done a collab on this episode. So we're both releasing episodes with this conversation where we chat about how we're doing in our pregnancies. Because this is the main thing, is you're both at the moment expecting second children.
Yes.
Anything you want to add, Emma?
I would just like to apologise in advance that throughout these following podcasts episodes that are coming up, I notice that there's a lot of heavy breathing on my part, and it's just because I'm so pregnant now. That's just what seems to have happened. My lungs are finding it harder to get all that air in them because they're a bit squished. So. Just if you notice a lot of it, I can't help it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I try and edit out the heavy breathing, but there's only so much I can do.
His best. If it annoys you, just know you hate pregnant people. That's all I can say. If you're get annoyed by it, it's just discrimination.
This is a slightly different episode. We don't have our usual format points. It's just a relaxed chit chat with our friend Katie over on Mamalogue. I hope you enjoy it. It's a good time. Listen through to the end and we'll come back and say goodbye at the end. But otherwise, let's get into it.
So yeah, it's funny because this is the first time we're meeting, but I feel like I already know you. Do you get that when you listen to podcasts?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Our podcasts are quite different. I'm more of just a monologue and I just chat about my week and just get my thoughts out, whereas yours is a lot more, I would say, professional, organised, more thought out. You have a theme every week.
Thought out, I don't know whether it's more effective or, it's just different, isn't it?
And I'd say none of that is thanks to me.
I find it so funny because you can tell Elliot's done all this work.
And I was like, what are we talking about today? I have no idea.
Like, it shows your different personalities coming through, and I just find it quite funny.
That's true.
So we actually have quite a lot in common, but also a lot of stuff that's a bit different as well. So particularly when I was listening to your last podcast, I was like, oh no, I need to talk to them about that. Because the main thing we have in common at the moment is that we're both expecting second children. How are you feeling, Emma?
This has been the nice... Well, we're in the third trimester now. I'm enjoying it a lot more. The first bit, very sick. The second bit was better, but I had quite bad back pain. And I'm actually feeling okay at the minute.
Oh, right.
I'm tired and achy, but I'm not at the size where I'm... Because last time I was so horrendously big at the end, I just didn't enjoy it because everything was like a chore. And I think that's coming soon. Probably in a couple of weeks. But right now I'm in quite a happy little stage where it's not too bad and none of my symptoms are horrendous.
Does this pregnancy feel different than the last time?
Honestly, no. It seems very similar. Even though this time around we've got low pape, which is like a risk thing that the baby might be born small. But actually, I think last time I had more symptoms that made me feel poorly than this time. So at this third trimester stage, I think I'm slightly happier than I was the first time around.
I don't know about you. It feels almost hard to remember, like 3.5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember quite a lot of it. I mainly remember my mood though, rather than symptoms. I'm like, oh yeah, I was really happy at this age. Oh yeah, this point I was like really depressed. Because last time it seemed to go on for ages, and I think it's because it was lockdown. I hadn't seen anyone, and near the end, I was just like, I just want the baby out of me. I'm sick of this. Like, I'm not enjoying it.
It's gone a lot quicker, I think.
I feel the same about it's gone quicker this time. Because I feel like the first time I was just like, oh, I can't wait to meet my baby. Now I'm like, actually, let's leave it more time while we just have one.
Get things organised. You're like, I don't feel like we've got any time anymore.
Yeah, I have way less time. I don't know how I used to have so much time and still struggle to get things done. My pregnancy is mostly the same, but this time I'm just craving a lot of apples.
Yes, I listened to your podcast when you were saying that, because I've really got into apples and cucumbers. Seems to be my main things I like eating.
But only really recently.
Only really recently, though. I
remember I was listening to that episode, and at the time you weren't into apples.
No. Influenced you.
Yes.
I'm big into sugar.
You are.
No, me too. I can't stop. Yeah, I just can't stop with it, which I probably should. I was thinking about it because I've got my midwife appointment on Friday. In the last pregnancy, they check your wee, but I kind of didn't know that. So I was like having a nice morning, like before I went to work. I was like enjoying just that lazy morning. So I had my breakfast, and then I had like 4 cookies with a cup of tea. And then she checked my wee, and she was like, so sugary. She was like, I think, we need to see you again. You might have diabetes. And I was like, it was like a 10 o'clock appointment. So for Friday, I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't eat anything before then, because I was just so embarrassed, because that's not, most people would not do that. That's not acceptable adult behavior.
It's hard though, because I always say, like, when I'm pregnant, I don't necessarily want healthy things, especially at the start. I want like all the childhood snacks I used to like. And it's when they're like, it's very important to eat healthy. And I'm like, oh, that's not what I fancy right now, though.
Yeah, I'm a lot less healthy this time than first pregnancy. I just think the baby will be fine. Like, I'm obviously not drinking alcohol, doing anything like that. But I just think all the nutrients are going to go to the baby, and it's me that will suffer. And I'm okay with that. That's how I justify it.
Be more relaxed.
Yeah, good. And I'm definitely more relaxed with like sleeping on my tummy and on my back. I was like, from like week 7 last time, I was like, I'm going to train myself to sleep on my left side the entire pregnancy. And it was hell. I hated it. So now my belly's still like a flabby bump. I'm on my front.
No, I still sleep on my left side, but it's really hard.
It's horrible. How do you normally sleep?
I normally sleep on my right side, so it's only a switch of side, but it is tricky.
So how far along are you now? When are you due? Well, you don't have to say exactly.
Well, I'm 27 weeks, but because we're having an elective C-section, it'll probably be 39 weeks when I have my C-section. So
yeah. Is that just to make sure there's no labour?
It's make sure you don't get labour, and because of low pape, they normally don't let you go over 39 weeks anyway.
So what is low pape?
It's very confusing. It's
when they do the blood test.
Yeah, at the start. So it comes back with a thing saying basically it could mean the placenta's not working as well as it should be, but it's normally tails off at the end of pregnancy. So if your growth is going to slightly get stunted, it's normally like near the end of the 3rd trimester. So that's why they don't like to leave the baby in too long. But
okay.
But like I'm part of there's a Facebook group, and most people, they seem to have quite normal pregnancies. Just some of them are a bit early.
We thought we'd do a whole podcast episode on it at some point.
Yeah, but I wanted to wait till after we had the birth so I could talk about the whole experience of going through.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
So how did you tell Lily?
It took us a while, didn't we? Because lots of our friends told their children quite soon. But Lily's like a very talkative child and a blabbermouth.
If we told her, everyone would find out.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to... Can you remember exactly when we told her?
I don't know if I can remember.
I think we kind of slowly kind of introduced the concept, and initially she didn't quite grasp it, and then we'd like try again a week later, and then she picked it up pretty quick though.
Yeah, it was quite helpful because my sister in France, she's just had her baby, but she was pregnant, and Lily knew she had a baby in her tummy. She got the misunderstanding because obviously my sister's pregnant and I'm pregnant. She had a thing that all the women in our family had babies in their tummies. And she was going, oh, so Grandma's got a baby in her tummy. And I was like, no, Grandma doesn't have a baby in her tummy. None of the other sisters have babies in her tummy, just us. And she looked at me like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why is it just you two?
Yeah,
So
that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah. She was like, so everybody's got it. I was like, no, it's not how that works.
That did happen pretty quick. I think about a week later, she came to us and said, how's baby
in tummy?
So we had to deal with that pretty early on.
Yeah.
So what did you say?
I tried to be scientific about it. So I said, like, Abby has, like, a worm and it has to go in Mummy's tummy and Mummy's got an egg. But she kept saying, Mummy, you're not a chicken. You don't have an egg in your tummy. And I was like, no. So now she's just come to the conclusion that Daddy put the baby in there.
Yes.
Which is pretty true.
Yeah. We've discussed it a lot in the past, haven't we?
Yeah.
How we deal with it. I think we've always veered away from using kind of metaphors, or I don't know, because there's a lot of problematic stuff around.
Well, like, even people say, oh, it's like a special hug. But I remember as a child, that really scared me then, that as a girl, if I hugged a boy, you could get pregnant because it's a special hug. Like, because I'm very well, because she's a girl, she's aware it's a thing that happens to girls. So she's very, like, interested.
Yeah.
And we also didn't like the thing like, oh, well, God gives you a baby, because I'm like, well, some of our friends tried really hard for a baby and they couldn't have one, and that's not really a nice thing to be like, oh, he just decided they couldn't have one. So
yeah,
we tried to veer around all those situations to be like, what would be the most helpful thing for her to know? And in the end, I was just like, let's go with something scientific to be like, this has to happen for the baby to happen.
That's difficult though if you weren't expecting her to ask you that.
Yeah, no, because I'd asked my sister, and she has... This is one of my sisters in France. She has two boys, and they both have paid no attention to how the baby got in there. Because I'd said, oh, what did you tell your boys? She went, they've never asked. I was like, they've never asked. She went, no. And I said, it's because they're boys. They're like, oh, that's not going to happen to me. So I don't really care.
Maybe. Or just Lily's very inquisitive.
Or just Lily's very inquisitive. She was like, they've never bothered to ask me how it happened. I was like, oh, well, that's not helpful, because I was hoping you could go, oh, this is what I did. But
it's how we deal with a lot of our parenting, isn't it? We just ask your sisters, what did they do?
What did you do?
And then we kind of borrow what we like.
Yeah.
But he's only, well, he's 19 months now, and he'll be 2 in a month when the baby's born. So he just has no clue what's going on. Like I've said, like, where is the baby? And he points and then he'll give it a kiss. And it's all quite theatrical. Like he has no idea why he's doing that.
Yeah.
What a baby is. Like, I don't think he understands. Like he'll go to Kaz's tummy and give it a kiss and say baby.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll even know when the baby's born. I don't know at 2 and 1 month.
I know what you mean. I think it'll be something that just happens and that he'll just accept has happened.
I hope so.
Rather than having to think about it.
Because any baby I hold, he just cries until I give it back. So
Lily used to be like that.
She's only recently.
But you're right. I probably will be different when it's, because with Lily, because she can understand, she's very excited and understands that she's having a sister, and therefore will understand that this baby is different from other babies that we meet.
Yeah.
Tricky.
It's her baby.
Yeah.
So you found out for having a girl. Find out with Lily as well.
We found out very late with Lily. We wanted to know, but she was so wiggly, Lily. They had to do all the normal measurements and they couldn't do the gender. So then we had to have a private scan, didn't we?
So I think that influenced our decision this time.
Yeah. But I also wanted to give Lily like a clear, you're having a baby, it's a girl, you're going to be a big sister, she'll be a little sister. To give her as much information as possible. Yeah.
So we actually went for like a really early private blood test.
Yeah.
So,
and they send it off to America.
Yeah. So from 6 weeks they can work out the gender as I
mean, we did it much after that. Past the 12-week mark, we went for a blood test.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently from 6 weeks you can do a blood test and they tell you what the gender is afterwards.
And that would be more accurate, because sometimes I've heard that people get it wrong.
It is more accurate,
scale, isn't it?
Or it's because you're not doing it based on sight, you're doing it on like DNA.
Yeah.
Were you quite happy it's 2 girls?
Yeah.
I mean, Tommy was, I don't know, I would have been quite excited for a boy, because then it would be different, but equally I feel like we know what we're doing with a girl.
Well, we say that. I think it gives us a false sense of confidence that we're like, oh, it'll be very similar to the first child because they're the same gender, which probably won't be true, but it gives us...
We just have a lot of friends with little boys who are very lively and like running around a lot, and Lily's just very chill, drawing, and you know,
we want another child like that.
Yeah.
Who's quite chill, and you're like, here, draw something, and they're like, okay, I'll sit and draw. That's a nice activity to do. We're hopeful, but then
who knows?
They often say the second one's wild, so we'll see if that's true.
T is wild, doesn't stop moving. He's very physical. He's recently started like pointing at things. If we make the book interactive, he'll read a book. He won't sit there and listen to me read or anything like that. No matter how animated I try and be, he's not interested. But he can do like painting and a bit of colouring. I think he mainly just likes the independence of being sat at a little table. And that's not for long. He just likes cars. He's just such a boy. And I really tried to like veer away from these stereotypes. Like, before I like had him and was a mum, I was like, no, there's no such thing. Like, we just put everyone in boxes. And he's just the most boyish boy I've ever come across. And I've really tried to like not do
We were
that.
like that. We were like, well, we're not going to dress her in pink. You know, we're going to try and make
very
it.
like that. I mean, you're a very...
I'm not very girly girl at all.
and like, I'm not a very masculine man, really.
No.
So we tried very hard, really. We never had gender stereotyped stuff.
No, but she's very much a girly girl.
Yeah.
She likes her nails done.
Loves pink
Gender
and
stereotypes
sparkly.
in you two. Like, if you're not that girly and you're not that masculine, as you say, then she's not thinking, oh, I have to be like whatever. So at least if she's a girly girl, it's because that's her personality.
It is, yeah. And I said it was before she'd even watched TV. Like, it was kind of inbuilt that she liked certain clothes.
T before he was 1, like anything I gave him, if it was like a, you know, those stackable rings, he'd be like, obsessed with cars. So we didn't find out his gender, and we're not finding out the next gender. So that's different from you guys. I was more interested this time, although I don't even need to know. It's another boy. I just know it. I'm thinking about girls' names. It's just, I know it's 2 boys together, but that'll be nice. So they'll be hopefully like best buddies, crazy, which is great.
I think it's becoming like more real to us recently. I've definitely been like imagining, you know, like having 2 kids and the different dynamic, and thinking about how it'll be strange we'll look back on this time that we only had Lily and that we did stuff just with her. So yeah, I think it's definitely becoming a lot more real in my head.
That's true. Of 4. And Lily's very like, she's been asking me questions, what colour the baby's hair is. And she also got very confused at one point because most of her cousins are biracial. So she thought our baby would be brown. And she kept me like, oh, so we'll have a brown baby. And I'm like, no. And she was like, oh, why? And I had to kind of go, well, Mummy and Daddy aren't brown, so we can't have a brown baby.
But she's been like this for a long time.
She has.
She loves like mixed race characters
she
on
does,
TV.
Yeah.
She has like a black baby that's her favourite baby. Four cousins, hasn't she, that are mixed race?
Mixed race. Well, no, 5 now, because Ali's just been born.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yes, 3 of them are half Moroccan and 2 of them are half Sudanese. Like, to her, that's just most of the babies we know are brown.
Yeah. Did you get any comments about like when you told people you were pregnant or that you're expecting another child? Like, did people ask whether it was planned, or did you get any weird comments?
I don't think so.
No, I think because most people we know and family and stuff knew we wanted
another one.
We've been quite open that we were probably going to have a second child.
Yeah, we just didn't tell them when we were trying.
Yeah, I mean we had to be coy around that because we've got very nosy family.
Yeah.
Particularly our mums, who we just didn't want the stress of them knowing we were trying and
Yeah.
then constantly asking
And my
about
mum's
it.
quite, because we all get pregnant quickly, she assumes it's going to happen straight away if you say you're trying. So we've never told her, because I feel like that'd be a lot of pressure. Every time she saw you, she'd be looking at you like, do they look pregnant?
Yeah, once we were pregnant, I think everyone was just like, okay, cool,
Yeah.
I think it's in your family. For your listeners that don't know, Emma's an identical quadruplet. At any one time, it seems to be always someone who's pregnant.
There's
in your
always,
family.
because we're all of a similar age and we've all started having children.
Yeah.
Like,
So I had a question about the quadruplet thing. So did people have trouble telling you apart when you were little, and did that bother you?
they did have trouble telling us apart. It didn't bother me, but like I often say this, I think when you grow up with it, it just seems very normal. Like, I used to get annoyed if like mum would say they instead of whoever did it. So like if they went, oh, they did this, I'd be like, well, actually, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of my other sisters. And so after that, she did apologise and would start like saying directly who had done something.
To you, it's very obvious that you look different, whereas I think even now, some people, think you all look identical and can't tell you apart.
And when we go on our girls' weekends, people do stop and ask,
Yeah.
are you all sisters? And you're like, yeah.
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 Sometimes a bit exasperating, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, me and my sister Kirsty often just lie, because she's the one who lives closest to me. And they'll often say, you twins? And we just go, yeah. Because I sometimes think, I'm not going to meet them again. There's no point me going through, oh, actually, I'm a quadruplet.
Yeah.
Because people often look amazed at you, and then you have to kind of have a big conversation. So often if they go, you twins? Me and Kirsty used to go, yeah, we are. And we're like, we'll just stop the conversation there, so we don't have to answer real questions.
2 of my close friends have twin boys, and I'm really bad at telling them apart. One of them's got like a strawberry spot, like just on the tip of his nose, but that's getting smaller and smaller as he's older.
Yeah.
Like looking right up his nose to see something to tell them apart. And then the others, they're next door to us, and I always get it wrong. I don't know how. 100% of the time I can get it wrong. And it's only recently they've had a haircut, and one of them's got more of a fringe. So I'm like, right, that's you.
Yeah.
But I do feel really guilty, because I think, their parents know the part. There must be differences, but they're always running round. And maybe if they were sat down and I could really look at them, it's difficult, and I don't want to, cause them trauma.
It's hard when they're little, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
it's a fun game in your family, isn't it? A lot of the men folk, you give us pictures of when you were little and get us to see if we can work out who's who.
Yeah, if one of us finds a picture.
We get it wrong a lot of the time.
We're like, spot your wife.
Yeah.
Which one am I?
Yeah. But you all look so different as kids.
Yeah.
To how you look now. So
well, no, see, I don't think we do.
Oh,
I can still see us like as us. So to me, it's still really obvious.
Okay, yeah.
Who's who. It's only when we're babies it's slightly harder. Yeah. But normally I'm like, oh, well, that's such like a Kirsty or Laura expression. I know that's them.
Mentioned about comments when getting pregnant. Was there an experience you'd had that?
Oh yeah, tons.
Really?
Tons. So many people would be like, was it planned? That is so weird, because you're like directly asking me about my sex life. I keep saying like, are you just banging it out without protection all the time to try and get pregnant? Have a couple of glasses of wine and just forget the condom? Like, what? Ask that. It's not even. It wasn't really people I knew so much. Some people I knew, and then some of them were like my patients. So I'm like a patient-facing role, and I'm like, this is too much. This is really crossing the boundary. What do you want me to say? What's the right answer?
Yeah, but I'm also like, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day if it's planned or not, does it? Like, what? Why would you want to know?
That is very odd. Yeah,
what are you gaining from that information?
Yeah.
And I saw someone in the park. I actually, the last time I did pregnancy yoga with her the first time. And then I saw her once afterwards with a newborn. And then the second time was a few days ago. And she had a baby strapped to her chest as well as like a toddler. So I was like, wow, that's, congratulations. And she told me like she got pregnant when she was 10 months. And I was like, not when she was 10 months, when first baby was 10 months.
So 10 months.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh, that was quick. And I thought, well, maybe I shouldn't have said that. That was quite invasive. It just popped out of my mouth. And she was like, oh yeah, everyone keeps asking me if it was planned. And I was like, oh my God, people are the worst. People are honestly the worst. But maybe that was because it was.
Yeah. The one thing we did have was you have withdrawn from one of your volunteer roles in the church. They announced that we had a load of church people come to us and asked like, is there a reason why Emma's stepping back? Is she pregnant? And we were like, yeah, she's pregnant.
Yeah.
You
And I was
guessed
like, I didn't realise stepping back from a role would be so obvious that then I was pregnant.
Yeah. I was worried. The main thing I was worried about is people would know I wasn't drinking, because I don't drink a lot since T has been born, but I would, if anyone's having like a glass of wine, I'll have one or two. And I don't think I ever say no. But then I was saying no. And I thought people are going to start catching on. And actually, Kaz's parents did. But they only told me after I...
Yeah.
They weren't like, are you pregnant? Which I think, because it's nice to be able to tell people yourself, isn't it? It's not... I feel like I don't think I want someone to guess.
No, that's true. I mean... My sisters normally know because I'm a terrible liar, so I just try and avoid talking to people for so long. Like, I'll message them, but I won't talk to them in person. And then they know because I haven't talked to them in person. So I'm probably pregnant, because they're like, why aren't you talking to us? That seems odd. Why are you avoiding us? I'm like, I'm just really busy. Yeah.
So did you try not to tell people until you're 12 weeks?
We tried to not tell people for as long as possible, really, which turned out to be about 13, 14 weeks, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's true.
That's
impressive. It was hard, though, because the nursery definitely suspected, because Lily was pretending to throw up all the time. Like, so she'd go around going, I feel sick.
I mean, we have the advantage that, for a lot of things, actually, but because we both work from home, it means we don't, you're not, like, regularly interacting with colleagues
people
or anything. So it is a bit easier to hide stuff like that.
It's true.
So I managed 2 weeks. We found out when I was like 5 or 6. I think I was 5 weeks pregnant. And then I was like, right, I'm not telling them for ages. I'm just going to enjoy this myself. And then 2 weeks later, I was like, okay. Are you okay to talk about birth?
Yeah.
The same but different thing that I often find when I'm listening to your podcast is that we both had C-sections the first time, but I think yours ended up being an emergency, right?
Yes, mine was the emergency one,
And then you having like an elective, because that's...
Yeah. So like the first meeting I had with my midwives, they went, so have you thought about birth? And I went, yes, I want a C-section. They were like, great, you're very certain. I was like, yes. I was like, I have no doubts that I don't want to go through what I went through last time. And I would just like a C-section, please. But they were very nice. They were like, that's fine. It's like really good. You know what you want. And I was like, okay, right. I thought I was going to have to fight for that and be like, these are why I want a C-section. But no, they just accepted it.
So I'm the opposite. I technically I did have the elective C-section, but it wasn't like elective because I wanted it. It was because T was breech.
Yeah, good necessary. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of felt like I was given 3 options, but totally steered to have this C-section. So this time I feel like I just really want a vaginal birth. I really want to like have that experience and like have contractions and feel myself go into labor and like meet the baby that way. Like, so I got a doula. So...
I think I saw you post about this on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because we talked about it ages ago, because to me it was like a very American thing. Like I didn't know we had them over here.
Yeah, there's not many, like there wasn't many for me to choose from in this area. And luckily she lives around the corner and I really liked her. So that was lucky. And I always kind of thought of them as being really hippie. I didn't think it was for me the first time, so I didn't even consider it. And then this time I feel like there's times where I would want someone in the room who knows exactly what I want to be able to advocate for me. Feels confident enough to do that. Yeah, I felt really good with her and I felt like I'll feel safer with her, and she'll also be with me until I go to the hospital. It's not just help when you get to the hospital.
Yes, that's true, yeah.
I feel really good about it. But do you know anyone who's had one, or did you consider it?
No, I know a lot of people did hypnobirthing, which I think is like on a similar line of having someone kind of talk them through how do you do breathing. And I think that could be really helpful. But no.
I don't think we know anyone.
Everybody on my Instagram post was like, no, we've never had one. But 2 people messaged me to say if they were having future children, which they're not, they would consider it this time. So I think
if I was going like down a natural birth route, I would consider having somebody. Because I know people say it's hippy-dippy, but I kind of like hippy-dippy to a certain extent.
Yeah,
I'm quite interested. So I'm like, I think I'd give that a go, see what they were like.
Yeah, I think it's got
obviously this
negative
time it's just...
connotations, like even saying hippie, because I think hippie to me is like just natural and letting your body like do what like
Yeah.
I don't know. It just hippie has that like negative, like it's almost like making fun of it.
So much stuff has kind of come back into fashion, hasn't it?
That's true, yeah.
I feel like a lot of our parenting probably falls into similar categories around Montessorial parenting and all sorts of other things that maybe to some people have negative connotations.
Yeah, no, I think that's true.
Yeah.
But actually are kind of becoming quite fashionable.
I think definitely with the newest generation coming through, it's more common practice. But even with like people I know with children that are maybe like around 10, it's sort of still made fun of a little bit, like gentle parenting. Maybe that's because they've got older kids and they're like, it doesn't work. But I am still I'm still trying to use it.
Yeah, we try.
Yeah.
We've been quite open. We do put her in timeout, but we said that's more for our sanity.
It's just a misunderstanding of what gentle parenting is, isn't it? Like, you can do it. It's a spectrum of different stuff. Letting them... It's not no discipline. It's just...
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you just try and do things with love rather than, like, just getting angry at them.
Yeah.
And there's no one size fits all. Like, you can't do things exactly the same as another family. Like, what works for Lily... I think Lily and T are quite different. I read somewhere the other day that he's really physical and he's like a head banger. So if he gets upset or I tell him you can't have that because like you're trying to pick up a knife, you know, that sort of thing. He will bang his head against anything he can find, like the floor or a cupboard, or if he's got anything in his hand, he'll whack himself or hit himself with his hand. I read if he's physical like that, you have to immediately stop him from hurting himself and then just try and offer cuddles and just until he calms down. So he will respond to the physical touch. Whereas if Lily's quite like, you know, she likes to sit and colour and she can handle being on her own, maybe a timeout would suit her better.
But it's interesting because my sister's sons were exactly the same as T. Like, they would literally just bang their heads on the floor and things.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw it, because Lily never did that, I was like, what are they doing?
It's scary.
And they were just like, no, they just do that. I just have to stop them. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, because I hadn't seen that. But once you've seen it a few times, you realise just like normal for that child, that's how they react. But because Lily never did that, she was more like a go off and sulker.
Yes.
Yeah,
like she's more like responds more to like emotional stimulation stuff.
Definitely. Like if we watch certain programs, she's not scared by like something that's scary, but she finds it very emotive if the character is scared. So like when Piglet goes in the dark woods, she's worried about Piglet.
Oh, that is so cute.
I know, but it's one of the things that we have to, a lot of things we watch, I'm like, oh, we might have to skip this bit because this is quite sad and she's going to find that really upsetting. Whereas like some of my sister's kids, she's like, they don't care.
Again, maybe it's like a girl-boy thing.
It might be. But then some boys are quite emotional, but it
definitely.
could be.
Yeah, I think at the beginning, this is probably not like 100% of the time, but I think girls are more advanced.
Yeah,
so
they are.
Understand a lot more. I don't think he understands. Like when I compare him to, not that I do that, but like you know his girlfriends. Yeah, they're a lot more advanced in their speech and their communication and what they understand, and he's just not there. So I suppose, but he understands the physical stuff. That's all he knows, really.
Yeah, no, I think that's quite typical because most of her cousins are boys, and her speech has been quite a lot quicker than most of their speech was.
And we've got some local friends, don't we, with boys who like get a bit worried about some of that.
Yeah, they do.
You know, and we have to reassure
and they always
them.
talk to me and I'm like, but it's different. Like they'll catch up. It's just boys, like they take longer with some things, especially like with potty training.
Yeah.
Most of the girls we know potty train quite quickly and most of the boys take a bit longer.
And yet Lily with like a lot of her motor skills, like she still can't jump very well or like, you know.
She's not an athlete by any means. When they did that, like, what was it? Was it her 1-year-old or 2-year-old? It must have been when she was 2.
It's 1.5. They come.
Oh yeah, and they're asking could she jump, and we were like, oh no, not really. I'm like, she can do like even now she can, because you had to jump like off 2, you know, pushing off 2 feet, and I was like, she does a funny skip. I mean, not a jump person. She can do it now, but I mean, she's not coordinated.
No,
like definitely in that line of things.
Yeah.
I'm not.
No, well, I said this to Elliot. If she takes after me, she'll never be coordinated. So
Anyway, yeah, the moral being just never compare your kids. To other
well,
kids.
they just have such different strengths. Like,
Yeah.
it's just the way it is.
Yeah, and they'll just develop at different times, so who cares? So you made me think when I listened to the last episode about the introductions to the new baby. It just never entered my head before. Like when T was born, it was actually after a little while I kind of forgot to tell anyone because I was just in this bubble and throwing up from the drugs and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But Kaz had like a few messages, like is everything okay and la la la, and then he did message round. But I think this time I'm thinking after listening to you that I'm just not. I'm maybe going to send a text saying like everything's fine, we have a
Yeah,
baby,
we're all okay. Yeah.
but not say anything about the sex or the name or a picture, and just let T be the first one. Not that he'll even get it, but I feel like for me that might be nicer. And also the benefit of doing that might piss off your family is that you can't be pissed off with someone who's just given birth.
Well, that's true. Yeah, it's a good
And
point.
even if you are,
we'll
nobody
find
cares.
out, won't we?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we can let you know if we do it first.
Yeah. But it's not something we'd really thought about. And
No,
then
until a few of
some
our like listeners, people,
friends that listen were kind of feeding in and saying that's what they'd done, and we were like, that's interesting. It's not something any of your family have done either by any stretch. So it will be quite a shock, I think, decide to do that.
Yeah. We've always done it with names though, haven't we? Because I've always been like, both our families are very opinionated. So I'm like, well, you're just not going to know the name till they're born, because at that point they've been born. What are you going to do about it? Like, you can't be angry. It's the baby's name.
Whereas some of your family are open. Well, in fact, most of your family are open about names from very
early on. Whereas I was like, well, you're just not going to know, because I don't want your opinion particularly.
Do you decide names in advance, or do you like wait until the baby's born, or how do you approach names?
No, we had two names lined up for if it was a boy or a girl. So when it was born, not it, we were like, oh, so this is his name, cool. And then we just stuck with it. But this time, I feel like we've barely thought about names. I feel like the whole pregnancy last time we were just thinking of names. Everything was quite blissful and like, I don't know, calm and like full of love. And now I'm like, oh, we haven't thought of a name. Should we do that? So it feels completely different this time. So I do feel a bit guilty. I feel like I don't give this baby any attention.
No, I feel like that sometimes, because I often felt like with Lily, I'd be like, oh, she's moved. Oh, this has happened. Now I'm like, it's moving. Like, so blasé. And I'm like, I feel like you'd be more excited, but it's because you've done it before. You're like, yeah, this happens.
Yeah, and you've already got like your own baby right in front of you. I know Lily's not a baby. I mean, he's not really a baby anymore, but I still call him that. And they need your attention. So this one doesn't actually need that much attention yet, but I do feel bad because they're going to have a completely different experience with he, who's just been worshipped since the moment we found out about him, really.
Like Lily, I was just like, it's going to be a big, big shock to your system, because the minute you're like the centre of the world.
Yeah.
So we've been really trying, haven't we, to be like, but we've done well. She's very good at sharing at the minute, which I really enforced quite early on. But I do wonder if it will be different when it's your sister you're sharing with and not other people. Hopefully.
He is terrible at sharing with anyone.
I think that's normal for that age, though, because it's very hard to understand.
It is, and he's quite like possessive with his things, which is normal because he's the only one that has them. But it is embarrassing because he does hit, so he doesn't just hit himself; he will hit others, and particularly go for the face, like he's jabs at the face. Whether like he's at the park and they want to get on the same thing as him, and it is embarrassing. So you mentioned on your episode that it would be fun to get like a psychologist on. Well, I met a psychiatrist the other day. She just came in for an eye test. And so when I asked her what she did, I was like, right, I need a couple of minutes of your time. What do I do about him like hitting kids in the face? And she actually gave me a really good point. She said, don't tell him you're naughty, don't hit people. Gonna internalize, I'm naughty, that's what I do. I hit people and I'm a naughty boy, whatever, I'll just keep doing that. But if you say you're such a kind boys share, kind boys wait their turn, And then you're actually giving him a way to act, not just telling him not to do something. And I thought that actually makes so much sense.
We do like I don't know if this is good parenting or not, but we utilize like her role models quite a lot. So things like Bluey. And Elsa from Frozen, she like idolizes them. We go like, now would Bluey do that? You know, and she thinks
that's a good idea.
Goes, no, I want to be like Bluey.
Yeah. Or we use like example episodes when Bluey's so good. So like we were playing Snakes and Ladders and she kept trying to cheat. And I was like, well, you know when Coco tries to make the rules in Bluey easier? And I said, and Bluey doesn't like that, does it? Because it's not really fair. And she thought about it and said, you're not like Coco, you're more like Bluey. And she went, oh. And she did. I mean, she still really wanted to cheat. But she played much more of the rules than she did before. So it semi-worked of being like, you remember this episode we've watched? And what did we learn from that episode?
Yeah. No, I think Bluey is great parenting. So good idea. I might start doing that.
I think especially now she can like remember the episodes and resonates with what the lesson is. It's a lot easier to go like, although now she, every time she's an ice cream, she's like, it's going to melt like Bluey's. I'm like, yes, maybe you should like eat it really quickly then.
So my issue is I don't understand these shows because we only show it to them in Polish. So I don't really know what's going on. So we could be learning anything.
You're like, I don't know what the message of this is really.
What the message is. The good thing is it's like short episodes of Bluey. So I feel like I understand a little bit more each time. But I probably understand as much as he does, you know.
Yeah.
Hopefully a little bit.
I always find it interesting because you like are trying to do 2 languages. Oh, are you doing 3 because he does Welsh as well?
Oh, no, we don't do Welsh. I mean, he will when he goes to school, but we don't know any Welsh.
Because my sister in France, they do like French and English, and then they're starting to do Arabic, obviously, because her husband's Moroccan. And I'm like, always amazed how well
and we've always discussed, because you're a linguist, that
so
we
my
want to
job's
do
I'm a translator,
language, but we haven't actually really started that
we
yet.
Haven't. I did have a French book I used to read to her, and then I was too worried she was getting too confused, so I just left it. But I need to start doing that again, especially because like her cousins do speak French, and I'm always, because I know like how hard I had to work to learn languages. That's why I'm so keen on learning them younger, because the younger you learn it, the easier it will be. So that's something on my list. I'm like, I'm gonna have to start doing that with her. Especially if Isaac's not going to speak English. Somebody's gonna have to learn some French.
Well, that's going to be the easiest way. Just stick her with Isaac for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, it's true. This is why like he's called Baba, because in Arabic that's like daddy. Okay. And when she first started learning to speak, they'd come round for the holidays. They were calling their dad Baba. So she was like, that's what you call. That's why you're Baba now. So she does pick it up quickly when you're around them, like whatever they're saying.
Oh, she'll be fine. Yeah. I reckon
I've just got to stay one step ahead.
You do. He said he's got to have like private lessons with me just so he's ahead of Lily.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I think he's going to take over me soon. I also wanted to talk to you because you two are big on the equal parenting and you try really hard for that. So I wanted that, and then had a baby, and then felt I'd been sold a myth. I didn't feel it was possible for the first year anyway. I felt like it was me, and I was supported, but I
think it's hard because even now Lily has a preference. So if it was Lily's preference, I would do everything all the time.
I think in some ways, we are a bit strange, aren't we? just in general, but in this as well. Yeah, in some ways, I think it was almost easier in that first year to split the parent, because
she didn't have an opinion as much.
Yes.
Decide for herself, whereas now she will want to do stuff with you.
If it's her choice, Mummy will do bedtime and Mummy will get everything from the kitchen. I think particularly at the moment as well, she's aware another baby's coming, so she's become a lot more, let's put it this way, she's always been Mummy orientated. People kept being like, it's a phase, the dad will become the favourite at some point. I was like, that has never happened.
Maybe it will happen.
Maybe it will happen when the new baby comes. But people kept saying, oh, like, enjoy this because it won't be forever. And I was like, it has been forever.
But I don't know whether it's to do with me being at home and being able to step up, or whether it's because, we've also made decisions that enable that to happen,
Well, I think,
which
like,
maybe are less popular in
yeah,
terms of
like breastfeeding.
we opted to mix feed.
Yeah, so that he could do some of the feeding.
Which I guess is maybe...
Well, I know it's not recommended because people like to, like, breastfeeding is many better for them. But I'm like, as long as she's having some of my breast milk and she's having other milk, that's fine. Like,
totally. And even if you chose not to breastfeed, like, those babies are great too. Like this.
Well, I always think that. I'm like, when people grow up, you don't go around going, oh, you can tell they were breastfed as a child.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I'm like, everybody's the same. It doesn't really make a difference.
It seems like such a big deal when you become a new parent.
Yeah.
But then nobody cares when you're an adult. My friend, milk never came in, so she didn't have a choice. And I think she struggled with that a little bit. But her baby's gorgeous and healthy.
Well, I struggled because I didn't have a lot of milk. And I struggled. Like, I'd never been one who really, like, not in a mean way. I never wanted to be like, I want to do all the feeding by myself, because I'm very realistic in that I'm like, I don't want to be up all night by myself. That doesn't seem nice. But we struggled with breastfeeding. So in the end, I just like expressed milk, put it in a bottle, and then other times she'd just have formula. So
what would be interesting is it could be quite different for us this time because you've got a longer maternity leave.
Yes,
and I think that did impact it as well.
It
First
did,
time round, you had very short maternity leave. And so actually, rather than it feeling unbalanced because I was at work and we were both working full time, so it felt fair to split everything because the pressure was on both of us. But
yes, that's true. Whereas I've got a longer time this time, so
it'll be interesting, whether it feels like because you're not working you should be doing stuff.
And I think I'll feel more like, oh well, I have all this time off, I should like, which might feel like pressure, but
I don't know.
But I also feel like if I'm more successful at breastfeeding, I'll probably try and do more of that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that might change the balance again. I think a lot of it's to do with me, and I don't like to be the only person doing everything.
And that's great. I think if you're self-aware and you know those things and it makes you happier, then that ultimately makes you better all round anyway, better parent, better, like, are you married? Like, wife? Yeah. And so it's good to be self-aware, not to have those, like, influences from outside, like telling you what
I think my community midwife said this. She was like, it's great that you're really like, you know yourself very well. And I was like, I said, I think I know my weaknesses and my strengths, so I'm able to go, yes, that wouldn't work for me, or that would work for me.
And I also grew up with definitely in older, when I was in my teens, my mum was the main earner and my dad did all the like household chores and the cooking and the cleaning, so that's never felt unusual to me. That's what a man would do in the household.
I loved breastfeeding. Found expressing, like, is that the word? Expressing?
Yeah. That's right. So I would use.
Or pumping. Pumping is what I normally say. That's why it sounded weird in my brain. So I found that just annoying. I felt like, oh, I'm doing this and I still need to feed him. Like, I didn't really know why I was doing it. And then, like, it was, I don't know, like, warming. I don't know. I just felt like it was all a lot of effort, and then to sterilize it. And I'd rather just get him on the boob, calmed him down, and I enjoyed it. And sometimes like Kaz would be up with me and I'd lean on him for like that sort of support. So he did definitely support me loads, but it was on me. Yeah. And I also think the mat leave thing. So what you said about you both being home, because he wasn't home, got used to looking after him on my own. And then even when I went back to work, it was difficult to get back in the swing of things, like not me doing everything. So we had to have a bit of a chat about that, because I was like, I'm too overwhelmed. Like, I've gone back to work and I'm like sorting out the dinner, or I'm like packing his bag in the morning. And then if I forgot something, I'd feel awful. And I was like, this is just too much for me to cope with. And now it does feel more equal, except that he just wants me all the time. And the only way I can get out of those things, like putting him to bed or whatever, is by physically leaving. So if I leave and he doesn't know I've gone, he'll settle for Kaz. But if I'm in the house, he'll cry until I come up to him.
Yeah.
So there's that. But then I wouldn't change it. Like, I breastfed until he was 17 months and I only stopped because I was pregnant. And I know, and then he started sleeping through and it was the best thing ever. And my mum was like, oh, see, maybe you should have stopped earlier. And I know full well with the next baby, if I can breastfeed and I enjoy it just the same, I'm going to keep breastfeeding until like, I don't even know when. Maybe, that's me being self-aware, maybe. I don't know.
I just think it depends what like you like, because my sister in France, she's been very successful at breastfeeding and she does really enjoy it, whereas I think I was just very unsuccessful. I was like,
Well, I mean, yeah, like Lily just wouldn't latch, would she?
Yeah.
So pumping was really the only option if we wanted her to have breast
Yeah,
milk.
it's true,
So,
yeah.
like, we were kind of forced into it rather
Yeah.
than it being a.
but this time around I'm
active
trying not to
decision.
put pressure on myself. So I'm like,
Yeah.
if this one is very good at breastfeeding, great. If it's not, it's not. Like, there's nothing
And
we
also,
can
you
do about it.
know how to do it the other way. I feel like successful, unsuccessful makes it sound like it's your fault.
I
And
know,
it's not
yeah.
like,
Like,
be proud of yourself.
Seeing
Yeah.
like it all in the freezer, I was like, I did that. All in frozen
Yeah.
milk. That was me.
If you're interested, are you going to do EC with the new baby?
Well, basically, as early as is manageable, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
So
as
it'll
soon
probably
as we feel ready,
Yeah.
we'll try and give it a go.
So it depends partly like how quickly I recover from my C-section. Last
Yeah.
time it was a very quick recovery. I think it was about 3 months before I felt pretty normal.
Well, yeah, it was quite a bit quicker than that. That's
Yeah,
when you
that's
got
true.
fully back to.
Yeah, that's when I was like running about. Yeah, it was pretty quick last time. I'm just worried this time it won't be as quick. And then I'll be like going, oh, last time I could do all sorts at this stage. So we'll see, because just holding on the potty and stuff might be harder.
I reckon we might start from 2 months, maybe
Yeah,
3 months.
yeah, I think
see how
see
we
what we
go.
do. But it's because we've been so successful.
Yeah.
It's given us a false sense of confidence. So we're like, it'll work fine and we can do it.
Yeah, I think because we saw the benefits of managing
Yeah.
to get her potty trained so early, giving us a lot of motivation to
Yeah.
really try with the next one.
Yeah.
I think of all
I'm
the
always
things we've
amazed by
discussed-
hearing about Lily's, how good she was so early. Because I like heard all these stories and was like, it's possible, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And like he's 19 months now, and I've got this 2 weeks off while the childminder's on holiday, so I'm just like ditching nappies. They're gone,
Yeah.
except when he's sleeping at night, but mostly he's dry when he wakes up.
Mm.
And there was like a week where he had like 3 accidents, and I was like, oh my God, we've nailed it. He's great.
Yeah.
And then the last few days, honestly, it was every single wee did not go in. And I was
Oh.
like, what is going on? Like,
Yeah.
and then yesterday he was perfect. And we were out all day at the farm. And I did have to bribe him though. The last time before we got into the car, he just didn't want to go on there. And I knew he needed a wee.
Yeah.
So I gave him a chocolate ice cream and he sat on there.
I think sometimes you have to. Even now, Lily, sometimes you have to persuade her. It's lucky she's like, once again, because she can talk now, it's easier to persuade.
Yeah.
But sometimes now I'm like, look, I know you don't need to go, but we're going to be, I don't know, in a car for an hour. So like any point you need in that hour, we're going to have to stop, and that's going to be difficult. So you still have to sometimes kind of go, I know you don't feel like you need to go right now, but for practical reasons, it'd be really good.
Hit an opposite problem. So rather than having accidents, we've got the problem where she just won't go to the toilet.
She'll just
full
hold it
stop.
for
She'll just
ages.
hold it forever.
And we're like, you must need to go.
We're like, please, it's been like 14 hours. Please
You
go to
must
the
need to
toilet.
No way. It wouldn't be that long, would it? 14 hours.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah, because sometimes she'll go just before bedtime.
Time.
Like she'll hold it all through the night, and you'll get
Yeah.
to like 11
O'clock in
the
the
following
morning, yeah.
and you'll be sat there thinking like, when did she last go to the
Yeah.
toilet? It's like last
Yeah.
night.
But I was talking to my sister Becky, and her boy is exactly the same. Is he 4 months older than Lily? And she was like, he's the same. He just won't. So maybe it's a phase, but she says that they have fights where she's like, you need to go. Like, this is getting unhealthy. And he's like, nope, don't need it. She's like, you definitely do. Like, we did have, but she's got better at doing it.
Yeah. And it's a nicer problem to have than
Yeah.
you know, having accidents all the time and everything. And
Yeah.
but I mean, you've still got to remember that at the age T is, it's still like way ahead of where
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of toddlers are.
Yeah.
With potty
And I think the
training.
main thing is that he doesn't generally poo in anything he's wearing. He will tell me about that. And I think that's the
Yeah.
main, like, wheeze, I mean, I do care, but he's got these little toweled pants, so it doesn't really make any mess. And I mean, he is bare bum in the house, and that sometimes does make a mess, but I just don't care. I'm quite disgusting,
No,
generally.
I think you have to be as a parent. I'm quite like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just wee. Like, it's
Yeah,
fine.
it's just wee, and he's got gorgeous toddler wee. It's really clear. It's
Yeah.
not like my dehydrated.
Your idea of hygiene just goes down a lot.
We were invited to my mum's barbecue the other day. he came up to me because he was playing around us because he didn't want to sit anymore. And he came up to me and he tapped me and he went, poo poo, put his trousers down, put him in the potty, and he pooed. And I was like, oh my gosh, well done, because there were so many
so excited,
distractions, and he still told me. And then, like, the next day I said to my mum, like, how good was that? And she was like, yeah, I think it might have been better if you didn't do it right by the table everyone was eating. And I was like,
because I don't think I'd have a problem with that either. But luckily, because most of my family have children, we all have quite low standards of being like, yeah, just get the potty out.
even this morning he did one, and I was like, Kaz, can I just look at it before you flush it down the toilet? And he was like, what is wrong with you?
You do. And I remember, like, we used to message, like, don't know, we on the potty? Like, and I'd be like, what romance messages we have? Like, she's done this on the toilet now.
You have sent me a picture.
I've sent a
before,
picture.
And I was like,
Boop.
great.
Yeah.
I've now got this on my phone.
Yeah, I did. I was really impressed. I was like, look what she did. Here's a picture.
I know,
like,
if you look
"Thanks for
back on
that."
your, like, WhatsApp picture things, you'll just be like, oh gosh, what has our relationship become? Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
You're
it's all
probably
right.
planning
Very
on-
good. Oh, it's been good to connect and do some stuff together.
We like having
Yeah.
a chat anyway, don't we?
Yeah. There we go. Thanks so much to Katie for suggesting this joint episode, which has been great. Did you enjoy the conversation, Emma?
I did. I find it funny when you call her Katie because I'm so used to listening to her podcast. In my head, she's just like Mamalogue. That's who she is.
That's her name. We'd highly recommend going and checking out Mamalogue. So go and find that on Spotify and enjoy the episodes there that she's doing. Thank you for joining us today out in the imaginary park, sat on the picnic blanket, chatting with your pregnancy pals.
Yeah, I'm probably complaining about back pain now and with pregnancy.
Yeah. But at
I was
least...
going to say pregnancy picnic. Is that a
Oh, is
thing?
it a pregnancy picnic? Oh, how lovely.
I don't know what I'm imagining. That's it.
You can be gone now. We'll see you next episode. No, something,
You'll hear us next episode.
Yeah. We'll be back with a topic that we're going to chat
We'll
about.
be back with a topic we will chat about.
Yeah, that's how this works. But in the meantime, get in touch. Come speak to us. We'd love to interact with all of you out there. And goodbye.
Don't wake the baby.
Sleep well. God bless.